A-level maths students, take note. This was the hardest question on the statistics paper in 2024. Only the most able students were able to complete parts C and D. Would you be amongst them? Let's have a look at it. It says a biased four-sided spinner has the numbers 6, 7, 8 and 10 on it. The discrete random variable x represents the score when the spinner is spun once and has the following probability distribution as shown in the table. So we've got the possible scores here, 6, 7, 8 and 10, and here we've got the probability of scoring a 6, the probability of scoring a 7, the probability of scoring an 8, and the probability of scoring a 10 here. It asks us to find out the value of q. You should know that probabilities add up to 1, so adding up all of these values in the table and setting it equal to 1, we get an equation which we can solve for q to get 0.15 for 1 mark. Part B. Karen spins the spinner repeatedly until she either gets a 7 or she's taken 4 spins. Show that the probability that Karen stops after taking her third spin is 0.128 for 2 marks. So let's think about how that might happen. How might Karen stop after taking her third spin? Well, she stops in 2 scenarios. Either she gets a 7 or she's taken 4 spins. Well, we're looking for the probability that she stops after taking her third spin. So we don't have to worry about this because she won't even get that far to 4 spins. So how would she get to her third spin? How would she stop after taking her third spin? Well, she'd need to not get a 7 on the first spin, because otherwise she would have stopped spinning them. And again, not get a 7 on the second spin. But then she needs to get the 7 on the third spin. We need the probability of not getting a 7 on the first spin. That's 1 minus the probability that she does get a 7, 1 minus 0.2 from the table here. And again, we need her to not get a 7 on the second spin, the same thing. Then finally on the third spin, she needs to get the 7 so that she stops spinning. So we end up multiplying 0.8 by 0.8 by 0.2, and if you do the number crunching, you get the 0.128 from the question. Part C. It says the random variable s represents the number of spins that Karen takes. Find the probability distribution for s. What do we mean by a probability distribution? Well, we've got an example of one in the table here. That table is the probability distribution. So we need to come up with a similar table, but here with little s, and here with capital S, and here with little s. And we need to think about what little s can be. Remember what it represents? S represents the number of spins that Karen takes. She can't have 0 spins, right? She's got to spin it at least once. So S could be 1, because she might spin it and then get a 7 on the first spin, then she'd stop. That would have probability of 0.2, as per the table here. So the probability that Karen spins it once, the probability that little s equals 1, is 0.2. What about the probability that Karen spins it twice? Well, we'd need her to not get a 7 on the first spin. That would have probability of 1 minus 0.2, probability 0.8. And then we'd need her to get the 7 on the second spin. That would have probability 0.2. If you do the number crunching on that, we get the number 0.16. We've already worked out the probability that Karen spins it 3 times in part B. So there's no need to do all of that calculation that we did over again. We can just write down 0.128. What about the probability that Karen takes 4 spins? Well, if you think about it, there are 2 ways that could happen. She could not get a 7 on the first 3 spins, and then get a 7 on that final 4th spin. She'd then stop, wouldn't she? That would be one way of doing it. Or it might be that she doesn't get the 7 on the first 3 spins, so she makes it as far as the 4th spin, but then on the final spin, she doesn't get a 7 again, because she'll actually stop them, as it says in the question. She stops after she's taken 4 spins, whether she gets a 7 or not on the last spin. So let's think about how we can calculate those 2 possibilities. Well, we need her to not get a 7 on the first 3 spins. That would be 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8. That's 0.8 cubed. And then to get a 7 on the final spin, so multiply that by 0.2. Or we'd need her to not get a 7 4 times in a row, so 0.8 multiplied by itself 4 times, 0.8 to the power of 4. If you do the number crunching on that, you end up with this number. So all we need to do to finish this off is to put the information that we gathered in a table. So the number of spins that Karen can take can either be 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then we just need to write down the corresponding probabilities, either as decimals or as fractions if you've calculated them out that way. The ones that we've worked out. You see, so I'm just putting these values in the right positions in the table to finish off to get the final 4th mark. Part D says, the random variable n represents the number of times that Karen gets a 7. Find the probability that s is greater than n. In other words, find the probability that the number of spins that Karen takes is greater than the number of times that Karen gets a 7. So if Karen has only taken 1 spin, well, she's only got 1 7. So the number of spins that Karen takes, 1, wouldn't be greater than the number of 7s that she gets. That's also 1. 1 isn't greater than 1. So we don't want s equals 1. What about s equals 2? Well, if s equals 2, then she only gets 1 7, and that's on the second spin. So s would be 2, n would be 1. So we do want to include that probability. Similarly, we want to include the probability that s is 3 and s equals 4. Let me explain. For example, for s equals 4, she might have 1 7, or she might have no 7s. But in either case, the number of spins that she's taken is 4, and 4 is bigger than 1 and bigger than 0, so we do want to include that. So one way of answering this is to add up all of these probabilities here, but there's a quicker way of doing it. We could think about the opposite probability. We could do 1 minus the probability that s equals 1, 1 minus 0.2, and that would give us 0.8. Either way, if you get 0.8, you get the final mark. In their report after the exams, the examiner said that the final question on the paper, that's the one we've been looking at here, as they expected, proved to be the most demanding, and parts C and D were the only completed by the most able students. They said a large number of students overcomplicated their workings. They said that many students still do not understand the concept of a probability distribution. They said most students left out part D, as they were unable to interpret what this probability represented. And they said of those who did try, many complicated probability expressions were seen, often leading to incorrect answers. How are you feeling about your A-level maths exams this summer? Let me know in the comments.